Shiraz Tangri, Rob Ross, Paul Weekland. And before you start, let me just say I had two cards here, one of which I could not read, and the other one I can read very well. And so
Thank you. I think it's my writing that's legible, although my typing is always perfect.
Okay, of course.
You did get my name right. Shiraz Tangri. I'm counsel for the California Association for Recreational Fishing. I echo, obviously, the comments that have been made by the other representatives prior to my comments. We submitted a 10-page letter outlining our concerns on the amended statement of reasons. I'm not going to walk through all of those, but I think the overall point that we're trying to make here is time. These regulations are not ready to move forward at this time, and they're not ready both because they raise substantive concerns and because industry has not had a full, fair, good faith opportunity to negotiate with the department, have the department understand those concerns. The amended statement of reasons starts by saying there's no economic impact, and I think you've heard from Mr. Elliott why that's not the case. We're not talking about a $150 permit fee. What we are talking about are biological assessments that cost tens of thousands of dollars. I've literally seen those assessments cost more than $1 million for sophisticated water bodies, and we're talking about doing assessments here for that's hundreds of water bodies that are stocked, in the state of California. In the first year for these permits, you're looking at millions of dollars that are going to be borne by all the pond operators, all the lake operators, all the people who provide recreational fishing opportunities throughout the state. Millions of dollars, not a $150 permit fee. The amended statement of reasons also claims that there are no alternatives. That's set forth. That's a shocking statement. The statement of reasons, this regulation is based on the EIR that was prepared for the hatchery, for the state's own hatchery operations. That document looked at and considered other alternatives to the regulations that are proposed. Those should be considered by the Commission. It's the Commission's jurisdiction to amend those regulations, not the Department. We would ask that the Commission take its time to look at the reasonable alternatives, including those that are in the process of being developed. It's also worth mentioning that EIR is the subject of litigation. There are 4 separate lawsuits that were brought by environmental groups. Industry was forced to protect its rights, raise its own lawsuit. I'm not going to get into the legal claims, but the issues about extending protections beyond the existing California and Federal Endangered Species Act to other species is a source of concern for this Commission. We would ask that the prudent course of action here is to determine whether that document, which is the entire science behind these regulations, whether that's determined to be legally valid or not. And once that's done, the Commission can move forward with confidence, knowing that it's on a legally and scientifically sound basis for the regulations, and use that time for industry to come up with a meaningful alternative. If the Commission believes it must move forward and issue the notice, we would echo the concerns that we need at least 120 days of time to be able to develop meaningful evidence in response to the notice. And we would ask that there not be a discussion hearing until before the August 3rd meeting for this Commission. Thank you.
Rob Ross, Paul Weekland. That's the last card I have on this item.
Mr. Chairman and members, Rob Ross representing the California Aquaculture Association. I think we've made our case that this is overly complicated and incomplete. While we've had productive meetings with the Directorate and his staff, it seems that as this ran down to the other levels of the Department, they have had their own view of this thing, and this morning, for the first time, we've heard a number of their responses or concerns or comments to our comments. Of the thousands of documents that are associated with this, we boil it down to a 2-page proposed regulation that we think respects the integrity of the desires to protect resources, to appreciate business in the state of California, to provide opportunities for recreational fishermen, and ask you to not move forward with this at this time. We are dealing in good faith. I think the Department would corroborate that. There's an element of individuals in the state, private landowners and property owners, farmers, people who stock ponds for the enjoyment of their own use and for those of their family that are not here. They're not here because they haven't been notified. They don't know this is coming. We've reached out to them. They're alarmed, as evidenced by a letter from the California Farm Bureau Federation. If they knew about it, I think you know what they would tell you. That what in the world is going on here? We've been doing this for generations. And certainly everything that has been described today, including private fee lakes, not requiring a license to be associated with those who participate there, has been administered by this department for over 30 years. They've known about it. They've never compelled a license requirement for that, and yet they wrap that into this as well. So we were asked, and we were refreshed to be asked to, we welcome your comments and any rebuttal to what we've come up with, and would you please make it simple? And we spent a considerable amount of time, hundreds of hours, just trying to make it simple. And I think we did that. And I think if you saw what we came up with, and you saw what the department has come up with, and the vote were today, I'd feel pretty confident that you'd feel comfortable that we covered all the key elements that needed to be addressed to utilize a little common sense and practical experience of the industry that's been around and done this for generations without any problems whatsoever. So we'd ask if you give us a little more time and maybe a little kick in the pants. If we deserve it, we'll take it, but keep us on track and compel the department to continue to work with us so we can present to you something that is a lot less controversial. Thank you.